Buddhism, with more than 360 million followers worldwide, started nearly 2,500 years ago in India, with most of the population now living in China, Thailand, and Japan.
The center of Buddhist beliefs lies around the Four Noble Truths. The Buddhists believe that the Eightfold Path is the roadmap to becoming enlightened, or the final spiritual state where there is no more suffering.
Hi, I'm Amal, and throughout this episode of Religion Chaser, we will discover the rich history and differences between Buddhism and other religions. Buddhism can be viewed as a lifestyle or a religion, but the way you view it is your choice. Sit back and enjoy the journey that all started under this one tree.
Prince Siddhartha Gautama started Buddhism. Gautama began to reject the luxurious lifestyle to pursue a life of meditation and self-discipline in search for a solution to human suffering. The story of Gautama's enlightenment goes like this. He sat on a mat and vowed not to move until he became enlightened. This means reaching a state where he would always be happy and not have to endure suffering again. On the seventh day he opened his eyes, and at that moment he became enlightened. Since he was enlightened, people started calling him Buddha, the Enlightened One. Buddha became the icon for Buddhism and started preaching to the community.
I've been enlightened!
So we're going to try to find out a little bit more about Buddhism by asking Amal, a real Buddhist. So what are your main beliefs as a Buddhist?
Well, the main building blocks of Buddhism are the Four Noble Truths Buddha taught, and they are: life is suffering, suffering has a cause, and craving and attachment can be overcome. And the path toward the end of craving and attachment is the Eightfold Path.
So tell me a little bit more about what these mean.
Well, life is suffering means human nature is imperfect. You will have to endure physical suffering such as sickness, old age, and death. This also means happiness is temporary and passes very quickly. While suffering has a cause means suffering is caused by our desires for material things we get attached to and will eventually lose. Craving and attachment can be overcome means when you reach a state of enlightenment, your desires, worries, and attachment to things go away, ultimately making you happy. The path toward the end of craving and attachment is the Eightfold Path. Pretty much explains itself.
What is the Eightfold Path?
Well, in order to reach the state of enlightenment, you need to follow the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path includes right understanding, right purpose, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, right effort, right alertness, and right concentration. Right understanding means believing in the Four Noble Truths. Right purpose means determined and have your mind set on practicing Buddhism. Right speech means avoiding untrue, abusive speech such as gossip and lying. Right conduct means believing in the idea of nonviolence and withholding from the act of stealing. Right livelihood means acceptable actions and ethical practices. Right effort means avoiding negative thoughts and emotions such as anger and jealousy. Right alertness means having a clear sense of your state of mind, feelings, and bodily health. And lastly, right concentration means meditating.
That's very interesting. I went on social media to ask people what questions they had about Buddhism. The number one question was, do Buddhists believe in God?
The short answer is no. We believe the idea of God is to give people comfort. There is also no evidence there was ever a God, and the belief in God isn't necessary. Some people think the idea of God is necessary to explain the creation of the universe, but we believe what science states. Matter changes into energy and created the planets, solar systems, and galaxies. Also, the misconception that Buddha is our God. Buddha was more of a leader.
Lastly, what does Buddhism say about karma and reincarnation?
Well, we actually don't believe in reincarnation. We believe in a similar concept called rebirth. Rebirth says our thoughts and actions cause effects. Just as karma states, rebirth is the process of changing. Every thought that goes through our head changes us in some way, even if we aren't aware of it. People are continuously shifting, and this is what Buddhists believe. Whereas reincarnation, people change physical form based on what they did in their life.
Thank you for answering some questions.
Yeah, anytime.
I'm sure our viewers now understand Buddhism a little bit better.
Definitely.
After listening to Amal, it made me think of the similarities and differences between Buddhism and other religions. Some similarities of Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam would be the Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths are similar to the 5 pillars of Islam and the 10 Commandments. Another similarity would be worship. Although Buddhists don't pray to a god, their meditation reminded me of praying in Christianity and Islam. Lastly, all 3 religions also believe in life after death. Some differences between the religions would be God. Unlike Buddhism, Christianity and Islam both have a God, Allah and Jesus, whereas Buddhism doesn't have a God. Another difference is Buddhists believe in rebirth, and Christians and Muslims don't believe in the rebirthing concept.
During this project, we learned Buddhism has a large focus on meditation and observing the beauty around them. And in my life, I've tried to recognize the beauty around me too. Buddhism beliefs focus around your attitude and state of mind, and for me in my life, this is the key to success. You can't get anywhere in life if you have a bad attitude. Before this project, Amal and I thought Buddhism was similar to Hinduism, but after this project, we learned the two religions have similarities but also huge differences.
Both religions believe in karma, but they also have different ideas on the reincarnation idea. Another thing we learned was Buddha is not their god. He is their role model in life. After completing this project, we perceive Buddhism more as a lifestyle than a religion. All in all, we learned about the history, beliefs of Buddhists, and their view on the world.
What if I burp during the video?
You'd be like, rebirth. Answering some questions.
Yeah, anytime.
I'm sure our viewers now understand a little bit more about Buddhism.
Definitely.
I don't. Scene 1.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Religion Chaser. Catch us next week for a new episode on Sikhism.